Jason R. 4G, Jason R. Forgey.
You may proceed.
Good morning. Please tell the members of the jury how you are employed.
With the Orange County Sheriff's Office, I'm currently assigned to Specialized Patrol, the K-9 unit.
How long have you been with the Orange County Sheriff?
A little over 17 years, since 1994.
And you mentioned that you are in specialty patrol with the K-9 unit. What does that mean?
I'm a K-9 handler. Currently handle a German Shepherd, a full-service dog, and have worked a dog since 2001.
So for the last 10 years or so, you've been exclusively handling K-9s for law enforcement purposes.
Yes, ma'am.
What sort of training or education did you receive that initially qualified you for that position?
I cross-trained with the K-9 unit because I had an interest to go into the K-9 unit prior to interviewing or actually going into the unit. Cross-training meaning I went over there and watched them work dogs. I caught dogs, talked to them about working dogs, and then I transferred there in 2001.
All right. So prior to your transfer, did you actually have a dog that you trained with, or was that sort of an education process for you?
I received a dog in 2001 because when I went into the unit, I went in as a part-time handler. And then a couple months after I did my training, I went into as a full-time handler because I went in as a part-time bloodhound handler originally.
Now, you train not independently of the dog, correct?
Correct.
Right. So when you first go into this unit, what sort of training is there for you? And you indicated your initial assignment was with a bloodhound.
Correct. It was scent discrimination. Man trailing is the first school I went to with my assigned dog with the sheriff's office.
Okay. And when we're talking about bloodhounds, we're speaking of dogs that will track specific individuals, correct?
Correct.
So how long is that sort of training?
That training is usually 5 weeks long. It's 3 weeks in a classroom and 2 weeks in the field. And then you have your proficiency test at the end of those 5 weeks.
Was this K-9 Garrett
Yes.
the first bloodhound or first dog that you worked with at the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Aside from the initial training period that was completed, did you do follow-up training with this dog?
Yes.
What would that consist of?
We have a minimum requirement of training that we do per month. With Garrett, it required a minimum of 2 tracks a month, training tracks a month. A trainer or an evaluator or a supervisor would come out and watch your dog quarterly to make sure your dog was working correctly.
So how long did you work with K-9 Garrett?
I believe it was around 10 or 11 months until we had to put him down.
After that point, did you get another K-9 assignment?
Yes. Then I received my second dog, which was Ike, another bloodhound.
Right. So did you train Ike?
Yes.
Okay, what did that consist of?
Same thing. We did the scent discrimination, man tracking, man trailing. Scent discrimination basically is is you teach him to learn the odor of what you sent him on. If I sent him on an individual shoe of one person and there's 3 people in the classroom, he has to go to that one person correctly before he can move to the next stage.
How long did you work with Canine Ike?
Until I gave him to another handler years later. And I believe that would have been somewhere in 2004 or 2005.
Now, at some point in time, did you have multiple dogs that you were training?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In different things?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in addition to Ike, did you have another dog?
Yes.
Who was that?
In 2002, I received a German Shepherd from a breeding program. His name was Bones, and his specialty were human remains. He was a cadaver dog, single purpose.
Okay. Explain to us what that is.
Single purpose dog means he has one job and one job only. Along with his obedience that he's trained, he's taught to detect human decomposition, specifically cadavers. We go through approximately 160 hours specialty training in that. Then the dog's certified in the proficiency of working, and then we can actually be deployed in the field. I was chosen for that after the 9/11 towers because the 2 dogs that we did have were converted over to EOD dogs. So
What
we
is
didn't
that?
have one. EOD dogs. EOD dog is an explosive dog. We needed more bomb dogs at the time. So they were converted over, and then I became the next person in line, and then I worked the 2 dogs, the German Shepherd and the Bloodhound.
Ike and Bones.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, what is involved in training a single-purpose dog for human remains detection? When I imagine that the training is different than what you had undergone with Garrett and Ike.
Correct. You go through an imprinting stage. First, I'm sorry, you have an introduction to the odor to see if the dog will be okay with the odor. You introduce the dog to the odor. And then you do an imprinting stage where you just constantly take the dog straight to odor. And when he goes to odor, you train him for what you would like him to do at his final alert. If you choose to make your dog sit at the odor, at the source, when he locates what you're training him to do, then when you go to source at the imprinting stage, you just take him to it and tell him sit, and then you reward him. And after that stage, then you start him into searching. For instance, if you have cans and your odor is in one can, you would put out multiple cans. And then you would give him his command, and you would have him check the cans. And it's his job not to pass the correct can. And you reinforce that with a sit. And then he gets his toy.
All right.
And his handler prays.
So when you refer to something as an alert, is that the dog's indication to you that they've detected the scent that they have been imprinted on and trained on?
A final trained alert is when he does, if you trained him to do a sit or you trained him to do a down at odor. An alert, I would define an alert as any body behavioral change that I recognize that he does when he is in odor and working the odor.
All right. That's different than the final trained alert that you had mentioned?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The final trained alert is,
When he has worked to source and does his, we teach him to work to source.
what does that mean?
If I may, if my water bottle is the source, of the odor, and it's coming out and funneling down. If the dog is working from this side of the monitor, you would see his body behavioral change when he works in, whether it's his breathing pattern or his walking or his lifting his nose, he's working into odor. The wind's coming from this direction. You would see him start to bracket. He would work the odor back and forth and work it to source. This constant time here, by training him and working so many odors with him, you would know that he's in odor and he's alerting to the odor, but he hasn't gotten to the source yet. So he would work to source, get to here, and then give me my final trained alert. If it was a sit, he would go to a sit. That's the best way I could explain.
All right. So let me see if I understand. Once the dog detects the odor, as the handler who has trained with the dog, you can see that there's a behavioral change.
Absolutely.
Then when the dog works to the source or as close as possible to the source, it's your expectation that the dog will then give a final trained alert.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you train Bones to proceed in this fashion?
Yes.
What was Bones' final trained alert?
His final trained alert was a sit.
Sit.
Yes, ma'am.
What sort of, I know you used water as a demonstrative aid, but what sort of aids were used to imprint Bones before he was actually used in casework?
In the imprinting stage
Sorry.
or the whole training stage?
We can start with imprinting and then move through training.
In the imprinting stage, we used mostly the rags with decomp, human decomp, rags that had been soaked up with the chest cavities, in the chest cavity of a cadaver. A deceased person already, we'd taken rags and stuck it in the chest cavity where there's a lot of bodily fluids that's decomping, and we would use that primarily.
All right, so that's the imprinting stage. Do you then move to different training aids once the dog is imprinted on that scent?
Yes.
Specifically, as it relates to Bones, what sort of training aids did you utilize?
We used bones, not just his name, but actual human bones, placentas, the chest cavity rags. The pseudo scent that we did use, it was drowned victim only.
What is that pseudo-scent mean?
Pseudo scent is a man-made odor, a tablet. I actually brought some with me.
Okay. Is it something, you said it was drowning victim only, so do you put that into water and see then if the dog can be trained to detect that?
Correct. You would put the tablet in odor or into the water, the pond, the retention pond, the lake, and the tablet puts out the odor of drowned victim. I like to use that way I wasn't creating any kind of biohazard. If it was in a retention pond, I really wouldn't worry about it, but it's easier to do. You drop your tablets in the water, you let it sit for a little bit, and you run your dog on it.
Okay. All right. Other than that, do you recall any of the training aids used with Bones?
Why I had them, I believe that we used blood also. Bones, blood, pseudo, tissue, the decomp on the rags, placenta, grave dirt, dirt from where a cadaver had actually been recovered from, the fluids that suck up in the soil there, we use that also. And I believe that's going to be all that I used with him at that time.
Okay. Now, you made some reference to the fact that you don't have Bones anymore. At some point, was there a decision made by the Orange County Sheriff that that a full-service dog, not a single-purpose dog, would be needed for the agency.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Once that decision was made, what happened to Bones?
Once that decision was made with Bones, we went and trained and tried to make him a full-service dog, an apprehension dog, commonly referred to as a bite dog, and he didn't make it.
Okay.
The agency then made the decision because they had previously made the decision that they would like me to work a full-service dog. They went ahead and retired him, and he ended up going to a captain. I believe he was a captain at our agency at the time, and that's when Osceola was looking. Sergeant Brewer got him from the captain.
All right. So if I'm understanding you correctly, the Osceola County Sheriff's Office decided they could use a single-purpose dog
Correct.
for the human remains detection work.
Correct. Because at the time, locally sworn law enforcement personnel, cadaver dog-wise, I covered multiple counties. I was it
For how long?
for a while.
Okay. So you're talking about going to Brevard County or Seminole County, Lake County, because Bones
Correct.
was the only cadaver dog in the area for a period of time?
Correct. Sworn-wise, there were still some search and rescue groups out there, but law enforcement-wise, I was it.
So once that decision was made to have a full-service dog assigned to you, do you get another
Yes,
canine?
ma'am. Yes. I was still working the Bloodhound as well, and then we purchased Garrus.
Okay. And what type of a dog is Garrus?
Garrus is a German Shepherd.
Did Garrus come from the same breeding program that you mentioned as it relates to Bones?
No, they had stopped the breeding program at that point, and we bought Garrus from one of our vendors that we use to purchase our dogs from.
So did Garrus come from Germany?
Yes, he did. He was imported. I believe he'd been here roughly 4 or 5 days when I got him.
Was he a puppy?
No,
How old was he?
he was, I believe he was 20 months, 21 months, something like that. I know his birthday was October 20th. And he will be 9 this October.
Okay. So what happened once you received Garrus? Is he then sent through a program for the full-service dog?
Yes, we then start, I believe it was August 6th of 2004. We started a 400-hour school for our base. It's called Basic Patrol Canine Work. You go in there, you teach your obedience, your building searches, area searches, your criminal apprehension, your scent discrimination, man tracking, and that's it. That's your 400-hour school.
Okay. So once that 400-hour school is completed, is Garrus certified to actually do casework?
In police work, yes, ma'am. He's then FDLE certified. We go out and he's evaluated by 2 outside evaluators. And they evaluate him in his obedience, and everything at our evaluation stage is off lead. He does his obedience, routines, hand and voice, criminal apprehension, the control work, the buildings and the areas. He's evaluated and then certified through the state of Florida FDLE-wise.
Now, you work with him during this evaluation process, correct? He doesn't get tested by some other handler. That's a team concept.
Correct. You are the only person that works with your dog. When he's tested, you're tested. After fulfilling these certification requirements that you've described,
Does Garrus receive additional training in human remains detection?
Yes. They like to give him a little bit of break, let him work the road, a break from school, and then we go back to school and he does 160 hours for his basic human remains detection work,
All right.
cadaver dog work.
And what is involved in that course?
It's the same thing. Same thing we did with bones. You introduce him to the odor, you imprint him, and then you teach him to work odor, and you teach him his responses. His final alert was different than Bones. I taught him a down instead of a sit.
What does
a
that
down,
mean?
A down being the dog lays down at source.
What sort of items did you utilize to imprint Garrus on the scent of human remains?
Same thing as Bones. We used the rags that were soaked in chest cavities to include some placenta.
Okay. And once he is imprinted on the scent, what sort of training aids were used with Garrus?
We used the grave dirt, human bones, adipocere, mummified muscle, blood, placenta, burnt bones, cremated remains from a human. We used human parts to include a leg, a foot, and then pseudoscent again
For drowned
for drowned victim,
only?
right? He had exposure to another pseudoscent, but I did not train with that. It wasn't in my normal training thing.
During this training process, do you also attempt to, and correct me if I'm using the wrong language, proof them off of other odors that could distract them from what they're trained to do?
Yes. Purposely, you try and proof them and try and think of scenarios that you might run into in the real world at searches. So you want them to work around other stuff, other odors, to make sure that they don't affect with that. Small things that you might not think of. Garrus, during his whole career, never had a bone at all, at home, at work, at anything. He never received a bone, whether it was a rawhide bone or anything. I didn't give it to him because I didn't want to teach him that he should chew on bones, especially if we're looking for bones. We trained him around ham. We trained him around ham bones. We trained him about dumpsters. We trained him around gas that you would use in your car, regular gas. We trained him as distractors also with cheeseburgers, with pizza, with decomposing animals. We trained them around where other animal scent was. We trained in horse rings, their training rings. So not only did you have the horse odor, you had the horse poo, urine, all the other distractors there. So we purposely train that way.
All right. You mentioned just horses as far as the animal sense. Would that training process include making sure that Garrus in particular wouldn't alert to the scent of, say, dog urine or feces as well?
Correct. And at some of the seminars you go to, we have multiple dogs. There would be 50 dogs there or whatever. And you also have the other dogs near our training fields that urinate on bushes and poles and stuff. And you train around that all the time, and they're not going to alert to that at all.
Now, aside from a training aid or something to distract them, do you expose them to, and I guess we're talking about Garrus in particular, did you expose him to different environments, whether that be buildings, cars, rubble piles, landfill, things like that, so that there's a variety of different things that he's exposed to before he actually does police work?
Yes, I tried to expose them to everything that I could think of at the time. I went to the fire department's training rubble, I would call it a rubble pile. It's where they have concrete with rebar stuck through and broken pipes and mains and all that stuff, and I would hide stuff in there to, in my mind, mock a disaster area where I might have to recover a body or search. I put them in drainage pipes. I put training aids in cars, under cars, in fields. About every scenario that I could think of at the time, I would put a training aid there.
Now, when you are training Garrus, you know where this scent is hidden, correct?
Correct.
At some point after Garrus completes his initial training, does he go with you to specialty schools?
Yes, he does.
In these specialty schools, are scenarios set up where both you and the dog obviously is always unaware, but both you and the dog have no idea where the training aid has been set up?
Correct. Before he certifies and is able to work the calls, he's tested by our evaluator, and those are all unknown finds.
Unknown to you? To you?
Correct. They're always unknown to the dog, but unknown to myself as a handler.
Why is that important?
It's how they evaluate you and your dog as a team before you start working.
Have you heard of cueing or any sort of bias on the part of a handler that could affect the performance of a dog?
Yes, creating the false alert stuff, yes.
All right. What was done with Garrus to avoid that situation from occurring?
Generally, you're only going to see creating the false alert or the cueing with your newer handlers. Our department goes at great lengths to try and avoid that. Why are you training them? While you're training them, they purposely, the trainer with you, is purposely telling you, keep walking, keep moving, don't stop walking to cue the dog. And that's why it goes in stages where you introduce them, you imprint them, and then you start your searches. If I was doing a search of just the straight wall, I would let the lead, and he's on lead, I would let the lead slack in my hand. And if I see he's working the odor, and when he stops, I'm going to keep moving, walking. Well, of course, I'm going to come at a point to the end of the lead. Purposely, I keep moving, whether it is the half moon behind him or whether it's just moving my feet back and forth. And that's what we do to try and avoid and make sure you don't cue your dogs. But those problems are usually only with your newer handlers, your inexperienced people.
Did Garrus undergo an evaluation?
Yes.
By an outside agency?
He was our evaluator with our agency, but he was not involved in the training.
All right. Well, that was initially?
Initially, yes.
All right.
I'm sorry, you're referring to the school.
Okay. Yeah, after his initial evaluation by the Orange County Sheriff's Office, he was certified to do work for the
Yes.
agency?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, all kinds of work,
Yes, ma'am.
including the cadaver dog work that you've described.
Correct.
Did he then go to a basic cadaver school hosted by an entity independent of the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
Where did that take place?
It took place in Sarasota, Florida. One of the search and rescue groups had organized for Andy Redmond to come down and his company to come down and host a seminar, a school in Sarasota, and I applied for that and went to it.
All right. Is Andy Redmond one of these individuals who's recognized as a leader in the field of cadaver dogs?
Yes, he is.
So this independent training that Garris received was one conceived by this individual, the
Yes,
training program. How long is it?
and that was a week-long seminar.
Let me have a moment, Your Honor.
You know what? Why don't we go ahead and stop at this point? And then we'll come back after lunch. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to recess for lunch at this time. I hope you enjoy your lunch today. That's all I'm going to say. Any additional instructions on behalf of the state of Florida or the defense?
No, sir.
Okay. We'll be in recess to 1:30 or till the jury comes back. Okay, the state recognized presence of the jury and the defense. Okay, members of the jury, was your outing for lunch okay? All right. All right, you may continue.
Thank you. Your Honor, I'd like to approach the witness with what has been marked as state's NR for identification. I've shown this to counsel.
All right.
Have a look at the composite exhibit NR for identification and tell me if you recognize the documents contained therein.
Yes.
What do you recognize them to be?
Canine Garris's certifications, training logs, along with my training experience.
What says the defense?
Would object. Hearsay.
May I see him?
You would also cite improper bolstering, Judge.
Ms. Burdick, for the record, could you ask them just a few more questions about what this exhibit contains?
I will, thank you. Deputy 4G, you were given just a brief opportunity there to look at the documents that comprise NR for identification. Did you see the first set? Let me get those back to you.
Excuse me. Thank you.
If you go through each one and tell me what it is.
The first is a certification for myself and Canine Garris for completion of the basic police human remains detection training course.
All right, that
The
is one of the courses that you've already explained, what was involved with it, and was, the certificate was awarded at the end of that program.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next document.
The next document is a copy of the memo, which Sergeant David Wade sent to my chain of command in reference to when the dog was his actual certification. It's dated 7/29 of 2005. He was evaluating the dog, and he passed his certification. It's the memo.
All right. Are those maintained as a business record by the Orange County Sheriff?
Yes,
Okay. You are responsible for monitoring the contents of the business record involving Garris,
that is correct.
and that's one of those that is contained therein?
Yes, it is. I have it, in fact, I have I believe the original right here next to me.
Okay. The next document?
The next document is for the original outside course that I went to in Sarasota, Florida. The first one, the Basic Cadaver Search School, which was put on by Canine Specialty Search and Associates. That was dated November of 2005.
Are you the individual responsible for maintaining the business record of the Orange County Sheriff as it relates to K-9 Garris?
I am.
All right. Does that document, is that an accurate copy of the documents maintained in the course of business of the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
It is.
Do you have knowledge as to whether or not the contents of that document were made at or near the time of the event in question? The event being the certification or the training certificate?
Yes, I brought these back and I made these copies for yourself and the defense
Okay. Next
from my
document.
records. Next one is a continuation of the same certificate, just in a different format, the exact same certificate of 2005, Cadaver Search School, November 2005.
Okay.
The next document is the Advanced Cadaver Search School, which I completed in November of 2006, put on by the same organization in Sarasota, Florida, Canine Specialty Search and Associates, hosted by Andy Redman. This is a copy of the certificate that I obtained from that school.
All right. Are you the individual responsible for maintaining the business record of the Orange County Sheriff as it relates to that document reference K-9 Garris?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay. Is that an exact duplicate of the original that would have been prepared at or near the time of the certification?
It is.
Okay. Next document.
The next document is Canine Team Certification, dated 12/31 of 2008 for Canine Garris. And then it gives his ID number. ID number is, I'll do it phonetically, November Mike 4805. And it's part of his FDLE certification, copy of his certificate.
Is that part of the business record that you maintain on K-9 Garris for the Orange County Sheriff?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
This is part of the examination and evaluation form, the FDLE certification for November of 2006 for K-9 Garris with the same canine identification number, November Mike 4805. Next one.
Is that a multi-page document?
I believe so, yes, because this is a CJ Form 83 and the other one's CJ Form 70. This is a single form, and the next one's another evaluation form for 2010, I believe. I'm sorry, that's the wrong date. It's a 06 also.
Okay. Is that the multi-page evaluation form for
Yes,
K-9
ma'am.
Garris?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Are those documents maintained by you as a custodian or the person responsible for maintaining the accuracy of the records at the Orange County Sheriff's Office on K-9 Garris?
Yes, they are. This is another FDLE form, certification for myself and K-9 Garris. This is November of 2007. Same K-9 identification number, November Mike 4805. It's a multiple page form. Those are all the pages continuous to November of '07.
There are several pages here comprising similar documents. Can you look at those and tell me what they are?
Yes. These are a copy of our training logs that I complete for the dog when I do a training scenario. Set up starting January 11th of 2005, which go through September 6th of 2008. And they're all his training logs.
His training logs for cadaver only, correct?
Correct. These are for cadaver only.
You're the individual that makes the entry on the log?
I am.
Are these entries made at or near the time of the event that is being documented?
They are.
Are these records maintained in the normal course of business of the Orange County Sheriff?
They are.
Are you the individual responsible for maintaining the accuracy of this record for the Sheriff's Office?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Your Honor, at this point, I would seek to introduce NR for identification into evidence.
May I voir dire the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
The records that you have here, you're in charge of keeping them?
Yes,
And this is so you can, if ever called upon to go to court, you can show the judge and the jury that the dog has been trained?
that is correct.
And this is also so you can show the judge and the jury the certifications that this dog has?
That is correct. The outside certificate, you mean?
Yes,
The training log itself?
correct.
Well,
The certificates, I asked you first about the training logs.
correct.
And as far as the certificates are concerned, it's the same thing. So you need, if you're ever called upon, you can show the judge and jury that this dog is certified.
Correct.
Now, as to the training logs, as far as the training logs are concerned, this has to deal with the times you trained the dog, correct?
The times I trained the dog. I was with the dog training, yes, sir.
Yes. And when this has nothing to do with the actual field performance, when you're out on the field, correct?
Real world searches is what you're referring to?
Field performance, when you're out in the field as a police officer, not training.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. The offer is as to the training logs and certificates we haven't gotten.
Sustained.
I have no further questions other than that, Judge.
Any objections to the proffered exhibits?
Yes, Judge. I would cite, if I may, 90.803, Section 6.
I think the records are inadmissible under that section.
Sir, Harris versus State, April 21st, 2011 decision of the Florida Supreme Court found that 2011 WL 14 96470. I will admit them into evidence.
That's exhibit number 144.
May I publish documents from the exhibit admitted into evidence, Your Honor?
You may publish.
Deputy Forgy, when was the first training by Andy Redmond's group that Canine Garris underwent?
November of 2005.
If I may refer counsel to document dated November 11, 2005. All right. Even though you were undergoing a training by this outside group, did you maintain a training log for Garris?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
All right. Can you explain to the jurors, and this is a telestrator, the information that you put on these logs?
Just read the log myself.
Well,
It has,
just tell us what this information is that you are putting on the log and the reason for it.
I'm identifying who the dog is, who the handler is, and what exactly we're doing, the date, the time, and then what we did that day. Where it has Canine Garris, the date it was 11/11/05, and the time was we trained all day because it was a seminar. The location was in Sarasota, Florida. And then below that is the cadaver searches, the quantities, the search area, the target locations, and if the target was found or not.
Okay. So as far as the requirements of this school that you all attended, is that what you put in the search area? These are the different environments that the dog is exposed to during training?
Yes, that was our search areas, the horse field, the canine training field, a pipe, and when I say pipe, it was a drain pipe, like a culvert where the dog had to go through to find the training aid. A trailer, portable, like a school portable, and gravel. It was mounds of gravel, like a dump truck had gone back there and dumped a mound of gravel.
All right. And then when you write target location on your training log, this is where the cadaver material was ultimately located?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then target found? You make
Target.
indication on there as to whether or not there was the dog missed the target?
Correct. If he had missed it, it would be down below where the section says missed, and he had located all the targets.
All right. Now, down here at the bottom of that matrix, you have the number of searches, and then it says total false alerts to date. Explain what information you record there.
If he was the false alert on that day, I would indicate it in that box. That's what the box is for.
Okay. And then on the next column, you have total misses to date. Is that a situation like we just talked about where the target?
Just a second. Go ahead.
I believe I did. Sorry. My fault. Okay, let's just, thank you. All right, this first box here is where you're talking about the different search areas, the horse field.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. then this box is the training locations that you just talked about.
Yes, ma'am.
And then I said circled target found.
Yes.
In this instance, Garris found all these targets.
Correct.
Down here on the document is where you would indicate if there was some sort of alert to something that was not present, a false alert.
Correct.
Okay. The next column is where you would record whether there was something that was there that he didn't alert to, which you've termed a miss.
Correct.
Okay. And then the last one would be the number of fines.
Yes.
Okay. So on this date in particular, there were 8 targets and 8 fines.
Yes, ma'am.
What information do you record on the bottom half of the form?
The bottom half, the weather information. I put the day, the condition, whether it's hot or cold, whether it's clear or rainy, whether it's humid or overcasted, and whether there's any kind of fog. The next box is going to be your wind direction, your wind speed, and your temperature. And below that would be a comment section.
All right. And these are your comments that you've put in here as to the different sort of targets that were used during the training?
Yes.
Okay. Is this the same format that you utilize for all of Garris's training records?
Yes, it is.
If I may approach the witness with what's been marked as states. NS, NT, NU, NV, NW, NX, NY, NZ, OA, OB, OC, OD, OE, OF, OG, and OH.
You may.
You've had an opportunity to review these photographs, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize them?
Yes.
What are they?
They're myself and Canine Garris training while at the 2 seminars in Sarasota, Florida in 05 and 06.
Do each of those photographs fairly and accurately depict what was required, some of the things that were required of you and Canine Garris at these schools?
Yes, they do.
Your Honor, at this point, I would seek to introduce the referenced lettered exhibits for identification into evidence.
What says the defense?
No objections.
They will be received in evidence as states numbered.
And S will become states 145, and T 146, and U will become states 147, and V will become states 148, and W will become states 149, and X will become states 150, and Y will become states 151, and Z will become states 152, OA will become states 153, OB will become states 154, OC will become states 155, OD will become states 156, OE will become states 157, OF will become states 158, OG will become states 159, OH will become states 160.
You may.
Deputy Forgy, you indicated that the photographs that we're about to look at encompassed K-9 Garris's training at 2 different schools.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. We had talked about a training in 1995 in Sarasota. Was there a subsequent training with the same organization?
2005,
What did I say?
95.
I'm sorry, 2005.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am. November of 2005 and November of 2006.
Okay. And what was the difference between the two?
One was a basic cadaver dog course, and the other one was his advanced cadaver dog course.
Okay. What distinction is to be made between the two? Why is the second one more advanced? What is required?
Oh, we did a lot more of the distracting, a more proficient and advanced school. Like in some of the pictures, you'll see what they had to go through to pick out the right stuff and the other distractors.
Okay. I'll show you what's been introduced as States 145 in evidence and ask you to explain which school this picture was taken at.
This is going to be 2006.
All right, let me center it. Maybe have a moment to try to eliminate the glare. It's from those.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, is there a way to, it's the canister lights in the ceiling that are causing the reflection on the surface of the photo.
Maybe right here, if we dim them down all the way. I think the bottom. Down here. And then the light on.
Show us, or tell us what we're looking at here, if you would.
We're doing an interior search. It was actually a haunted house that we were using that day. And there's blood back here on a piece of clothing in the corner.
You can touch the screen.
I accidentally did. It's behind him where he's turning and looking, I'm sorry, it's in front of him. So I'm coloring over the dog right now, but it's where his head is turned that direction in this pile of clothes that's down here in this corner.
All right. Now, Are there some indicators to you during this training session that the dog has either a change of behavior or is alerting to
Yes.
something?
You'll be able to see in the other pictures, see how fuzzy his hair is sticking out. I refer to it as like a hackle. It's up, it's high, it's proud. He's turning because of the way the odor is coming out of there, commonly referred to as a head snap. If you see the dog head snap working into odor, we were walking down the hallway if you're looking at the screen from the left to the right, turning into the hallway. I thought he was going to go into this room, but he didn't. He gave me a good hard head snap here, turned into direction, and ended up going back over here and later giving me a final trained alert. The picture was taken right before that.
States 146 in evidence. What are we looking at here?
This was referred to as the bone room within the haunted house. Obvious reasons. There were 2 real bones in this room, and he had to find them. The rest of them are all fake.
Garris had to find.
The 2 real human bones out of all the fake distractors. There was one on the wall and one in the pile that he was at right there.
147 in evidence. What's happening here? Is this the 95 or 96?
05. It's
I
okay.
keep saying the same things.
It's okay. This is the 2005. We're in the middle of one of the horse training rings, a horse training field. And the training aid is underneath this box. There's a couple boxes out there. I don't know what they use them for, horse training wise, but we had our training aid in the center of this. So you would have all the animal distractors throughout the field. And it's an open range search, off lead search. He's turning and starting to work odor. His tail's up. It's fuzzy again. His nose is down.
All right. 148 in evidence. What are we seeing here?
Final trained alert.
And 149, is that somehow different than 148?
Yes.
How so?
Garris would like to find the odor, work the source, give me a final trained alert, and then turn and look at me and make eye contact with me. He always has. And this is him, because those photos were actually taken in sequence. When he was working the odor, he gave his final trained alert, looking at the odor, and then turned and looked at me for acknowledgement.
And documented also in 150 in evidence.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me show you 151 in evidence. What are we seeing here?
A vehicle search, a training of vehicle searches while at the advanced school. Sweeping a vehicle, commonly sweep them low, sweep them high. That's what we're doing here. You can see how why I explained earlier, why I let the lead loose in my hand, how it's got slack, so you're not pulling the dog off of it or stopping or whatever. You leave slack.
$152 in evidence.
Same thing, another vehicle search of training. You see his hair on his tail is changing again. He's in odor. but I'm actually going to spin him right here. I'm going to spin him because I thought he passed the door too fast to get to source, so redirect him and you spin right back around and put him back and continue to search. The odor on this one is actually under the rear bumper.
153 in evidence, what is that showing?
One of the training aids, a femur.
All right, and 154, same? Is that a training aid as well?
That's another training aid. It's a upper jaw bone.
All right, 155 in evidence?
Horse training, it's the horse training field again at the seminar. Just shows I'm refining my search, directing.
156 in evidence?
This was the pipe, the culvert that I was explaining earlier. The training aid was at the center of this, and they had to actually work to it.
$157 in evidence?
Block searches. You can see his tail. You see his head. I would refer to it as fixing to dunk his head into the odor. Concrete boxes. You see he's kind of shifted forward because he's come to a fast stop before he could give me his final trained alert. Again, you see the leash is slack and I'm still moving.
$158?
He's working odor, working another set of blocks, where there'll be multiple empty blocks or distractors in the empty blocks, and one of them will have the training scent source there. The wind was hitting us in the nose that day, so where I started him, he's going to pull me straight past everything right to it.
All right, and then 160, if Garris is successful, he gets a reward?
Yes, ma'am.
And is this photograph to show the type of reward that he gets?
Yes, it was a ball. Handler praise and a ball. That's his reward.
Okay, thank you.
That's a problem with the overhead lights.
Now, during either of those schools, did Garris have any misses?
Yes,
Okay, false alerts?
I believe he had one.
All right.
He had a few misses.
All right. Do you have an explanation that you believe was the reason for his miss?
We had done, on the one day that I'm looking at specifically, we had done 15 searches. We'd worked all day. In the haunted house, he missed 2 small pieces of napkin that had a couple drops of blood in the hallway. But he had located 13 items in that building. And there was 15 items, he missed 2 of them.
And I had asked you about whether or not he alerted on something that you learned was not there.
Correct.
And what is your recollection about that?
I would refer back to my logs real fast. I don't believe there was. There may have been. And '06, no false alerts. '05, I have one false alert on the 9th and 3 false alerts on the 8th.
All right. On the 8th,
Yes, ma'am. We
why
had-
do you think that happened?
We had 31 searches that day. He was tired.
Regulation, move to
Overall.
strike.
You can answer it. Maybe you did. I didn't hear it.
We had done 31 searches that day. That's the most he's ever done in one day. He was tired. And I indicate that in my log actually also. I typed it at the bottom.
Okay.
He appeared to be getting bored and gave 3 false alerts. Garris finished the search finding the targets with encouragement.
All right.
He was bored and tired.
Now, the next day, you indicated that there was one
On
other,
the 9th,
or did I mishear you?
no, it was 11/9. I have 12 searches that day with 1 false alert. Numerous training materials were used. The soil, adipocere, pseudoscent bones, and mummified muscle. I didn't indicate, it was just he just false alerted that day.
All right. Now, do those training scenarios accurately reflect a real-world situation? Would you ever have a dog performing 31 searches in one day?
You would never search that much. Usually when you find, in the real world situation, when you find one item, you stop your search, depending on the item and depending on the search itself.
Now, in addition to these schools, does Garris undergo any sort of regular, what you might call maintenance training?
Yes, he's required to continue his maintenance training, a minimum of 2 specialties a month, and then quarterly, we're evaluated by either a supervisor or a trainer.
All right. How many times between July 29th of 2005 and June 7th of 2010 did Garris undergo a quarterly evaluation by a trainer or a supervisor?
He said, and '08 was the last date?
05 to 010.
Oh,
I'm sorry, 05 to 10.
"21 times he was evaluated."
And
From-
did you kept training records as to each of those evaluations?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any problems during those evaluations with misses or false alerts?
No, I did not.
Has Garris ever trained in situations where a body, that you knew a body to be present, and then the body was removed, what you might refer to as residual odor, or the odor left by something even though it's been removed? Have you trained Garris in those circumstances?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Do you recall specific instances where that occurred?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury when and the circumstances of that?
The first time was 9/5 of '05. A body had been recovered or located next to a retention pond in the high grass. The gentleman had been deceased for approximately 7 days. I went there and ran it before they had actually removed the gentleman as a training aid. I spoke to the homicide detective prior to it, and I ran it as a training aid. And then I went back 10 days later after the body had already been removed and had been in the natural environment. I I went there 10 days later and worked it from 2 different directions to see how he would react with the wind direction change also. That was the first one. And we actually ended up finding 2 pieces that they had missed.
2 bones?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was there a second time?
The second time was 4/4 of 2006, where a transient had been located deceased, and they estimated approximately 2 days. It was just off the roadway, maybe 20, 25 yards into the woods. There was food around. It was a white female. There was food around her. And I asked the detectives again if it was okay if I ran it as a training aid because of the huge scent source. And it was okay. And I ran that one.
Okay. And did you have any problems with Garris missing or falsely alerting on a different location?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
And then the third one was 7/22 of 2007. And that body had been removed from the side of the roadway where it had been discarded. Approximately 10 hours when I ran that one. That was in Osceola County. I got a phone call on that.
All right.
And I
You're saying 10 hours after the body had been removed? You
10
used
hours
that?
after the body had been removed, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you have any issues with Garris either missing that area or falsely alerting to another area?
No problems with it at all.
Since 2001, when you said you started doing this sort of work, how many cadaver canine calls do you believe you've had?
Real world calls over 200.
Okay. And in training?
And in training, almost 500. It was 498.
Now, in addition to doing this cadaver work, Garris is a full-service dog, so he undergoes other training?
Yes, he does.
All right. And when you're working, he's working however
Right.
many hours that is a week?
Correct. It's easier just to break it down as, it's 80 hours every 2 weeks.
Now, how is it that you end up being called typically to a scene?
A detective will call me. Sometimes I get called for cold case files because somebody's called in a tip on a cold case, maybe 10 years old, maybe 30 years old. Just something livens up a case, or it could be a fresh case that the detective calls me on, and I get out there. There's been a few calls that I've actually heard dispatched that I thought I could help with. Or I've checked the screen and seen something, like someone called in and said they knew that there was a body located in this area. They had heard little Timmy had been killed and he was back in the woods, and they wanted to let us know. And I'll self-initiate and go out there and see if I can help them in any way.
All right. Is the typical end result of these calls, either you're self-initiated or calls for assistance, that there's no alert?
That's correct. It's typical.
In 2005, did Garris have any cadaver searches in real-world scenarios? for
I
lack of a
had no
better term?
real-world call-out cadaver searches with them in 2005.
Right. How about 2006?
2006, I had 6 calls.
All right. And of those 6 calls, did Garris alert at all?
Out of those 6 call-outs, I had 1 alert.
All right. And what was the result of that alert?
It was a find. I found a deceased person. And I don't know the end result of that. I don't know if it ended up being a homicide or not. I have the case number documented, though.
All right. But in that year, you had 1 alert and 1 find.
1 alert, 1 find.
No false alerts.
No false alerts.
Okay. In 2007,
2000, I'm sorry.
how many real-world,
I had 9 real-world cadaver searches.
any alerts?
No alerts.
So since there's no alert, no false alert.
Correct.
How about in 2008?
2008, I had approximately 71 cadaver searches with 3 alerts. The first one was 3/24 of 2008, so March 24th of 2008. And that was a find.
All right. What did Garris find?
He found a mandible, which is, the mandible is your lower jawbone with the teeth attached.
Okay. Now, the events of this case occurred in 2008. Let me at least skip over that for the time being. After July of 2008, after July 15th of 2008, did you have several call-outs for suspected grave sites or something suspicious as it related to the disappearance of Caylee Anthony?
Absolutely.
Is that why you went from 9 cadaver searches to 71 in the period of
Yes.
1 year?
Yes, we had hundreds of tips on this particular case, and that's why we went from such a little number of searches to such a large number of searches.
All right. Now, when you responded to these tip calls, did you see anything that would suggest that there was disturbed earth, that there might have been something in this search location?
Yes. I particularly documented two of these cases that both of them looked like there was a recent shallow grave, indent in the dirt. The grass is not the same. It appears like a shallow grave, small shallow grave.
All right. Did Garris alert to either of those locations?
No,
Okay.
neither one of them.
Were they dug nonetheless?
They were still dug due to the fact that they were related to this case, and they were dug by forensics.
Do you know what the findings were as it relates to those?
Both of them were animals.
In 2009, did Garris have any cadaver searches?
Yes, I had 12 cadaver searches in 2009 with 1 alert,
Okay, and what was the result of his alert?
a find,
And what were the circumstances of that?
a drowned victim. He was still underwater. He had fallen out, I believe he fell out of a canoe and had not surfaced.
And how about 2010?
2010, I had 11 searches and no finds, or no alerts, I'm sorry.
All right. Garris is currently retired,
Yes.
and when was his last day of work?
His last day of work was a call, and it was September 24th of 2010. He went down on a call.
One of the real-world scenarios that you've described was actually captured on videotape.
Yes, ma'am.
Which one?
That was the first one, the female in 2006. Yes, 5/29/2006, I believe that's it.
All right. And what can you tell the jury about the circumstances of this alert?
A male had called in and said that he had heard that there was a deceased female. I believe the circumstances that he had heard that she had been shot and discarded in a wooded area near a pond on the west side of town. The deputies went out there. There was approximately 5 of them that had gone and walked the woods and searched by the pond and could not find anything. They'd called for the helicopter to come out and search the area. The helicopter had since left the area, and I believe they switched crews. I know they fueled up again, but I believe they switched crews and came back. searched the area again when I heard the call. I told them I'd come over and try and help them in any way I could. The helicopter searched again, saw that I had arrived, and called me on an off channel. They said they were leaving again, but please be aware that there was a large alligator in the pond in the area that I was just going out there. So I asked them to remain in the area if they would, to watch the alligator while I searched, because next to the pond it was a lot of the, I refer to it as sweet grass, the real thick, real green grass that you get around ponds in Florida, and it's pretty tall. So it'd be easy to go through and fall off into the pond if I didn't know where I was at.
All right. Was this in the evening hours? Was it dark out?
Yes, it was dark.
All right. And so the reason why this ended up being captured by the sheriff's office helicopter is because there was an alligator in the area.
Correct.
You've had the opportunity to review this incident?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. The video produced is fair and accurate
Yes, ma'am.
version of the events as they occurred.
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point, I would seek to introduce OI for identification into evidence.
What says the defense?
We would object. We received no prior disclosure on this at all.
This is part of the public record that they received from the Washington Sheriff's Office.
May we approach?
You may. Okay, objection will be overruled. It be received in evidence as states numbered. Okay, members of the jury, the video is approximately 20 minutes in length. So what we're going to do is go ahead and recess until 5 minutes to the hour of 3, and then when we return, we will publish that exhibit. Okay, we'll be in recess. Thank you. May be seated. Okay, let the record reflect that the defendant is present along with counsel for the defendant. Assistant State Attorney, both sides ready to proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. The brink gave us an opportunity to determine that Deputy Forgy does not come into view until 15:45 of the 20-minute video. So with the court's permission, we'll start at that portion rather than just the helicopter activity prior.
Mr. Byers, you,
My issue is completely different than
okay?
mystery verdicts. Your Honor, I think the procedure that we are proceeding on is not in accordance with Harris. I think what we are doing currently is we are addressing a matter of law with the jury. The court in Harris clearly outlined what a proper predicate would be laid before an officer can testify under the prongs that were under the three-prong test that was laid out by Harris. I think what we're doing is analogous to holding a motion to suppress in front of the jury. These searches, these trainings, all of these indications are no different than what we would have in a probable cause hearing. If this were somewhat of a drug case on a vehicle search, this wouldn't be done in front of the jury. And I would renew our previous objection. I just wanted to make it clear that when I had previously objected and brought it to the court's attention that this predicate had to be laid, it was so that the court can do this outside of the presence of the jury because they are hearing things that are completely irrelevant. I do not read Harris to be the only case that allows you to bolster your witness. I read that as if I read this case saying that we need objective standards. Moving forward in this type of evidence, objective standards must be used when laying a proper predicate. These are clearly issues and matters of law that must be done in front of Your Honor, not in front of the jury. And now what the effect is of course improper bolstering, and of course evidence that is irrelevant to this case and to the facts that they are sworn to actually make a determination on.
And if we proceed and continue to proceed, we're just making the matter worse. This is a matter of law, not a matter of fact, and does not need to be before the jury.
12 individuals at some point in time will go back to a jury room, and they will be asked to evaluate the believability of this testimony. And one of the things that this jury is going to have to decide is whether or not this particular canine or any other canine is reliable. So the reliability, the dog's training and certificates, the handler's training and certification, the experience and training of the dog all goes to factors that will enable the trier of fact to determine whether or not they want to accept or reject this evidence. Therefore, my previous ruling will stand. Let's return to jury. Okay, state recognized president of jury.
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense.
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay, you may publish the exhibit to the jury.
Deputy Forgy, you've determined that of the 20 minutes contained in this video, that you come into the field of view at what point?
I believe it was 15:45 or 53.
Okay.
I wrote it down.
This was taken from a helicopter.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it any sort of special lighting that was used?
The FLIR system, infrared, works on the heat source.
At the time that you and Garris are performing, do you know where this body is?
No, sir. Or no, ma'am.
Right. Your Honor, may we have permission to start at 15:45?
Any objections from the defense at that starting point?
We just renew all previous motions and objections.
Okay. Now, members of the jury, it is easy for you to view the monitor with the lights on or dimmed. Okay, you may proceed.
Okay. Ready? Do you and Garris appear at any point after this?
No.
Now, the infrared makes it look like this is a flat surface, is it?
No, ma'am.
Can you describe the terrain at that point?
It looks like it was a previous sinkhole, so it's pretty steep decline into the retention pond area. It has a lot of the tall grasses where in the video you see him hopping. I call it deering when they kind of hop because he's trying to smell and jump and pass through the high grass. There's trash all over the place because it's a known transient area. And prior to going down the decline, the small hill to the sinkhole area where the water is, it's a wooded area.
All right. So when you're out of the woods, so to speak, what is it that you can tell us about what Garris was doing on this video to pick up the scent and then ultimately whether or not he gave an alert?
The conditions actually that night happened to be perfect. The wind was out of the northeast, blowing to the southwest, and I happened to just park at the southwest part of the woods. He winded him from the woods section when I gave him his command to find human decomposition. He winded him right away. He drugged me through the woods and then down the embankment. And then when he gets down there into the high grass, he's having to work through the grass, and it's commonly called bracketing. He's working the source. I know he's working the odor. He's definitely bringing me to it, and he's bracketing to get to it. I was having to slow him down. If you saw when he would stop, when he stopped immediately, it's because I held the lead because I didn't know where the water was because it was, pitch black down there. I didn't have any light. And then that's when I asked for Chase to turn the light on right after I had stopped him. And then all of his body behavior is there. He goes to his down, and I don't know if you watched, but he turned and looked right at me and made eye contact.
Now, early in your testimony, we talked about another cadaver dog that you had trained, Bones.
Yes.
Prior to Bones' transfer to the Osceola County Sheriff's Office, did you have the opportunity to work him in real calls where he made an alert?
Yes, I had.
What do you recall of those circumstances? How many were there, first of all?
He had 4 real fines within, I believe it was 11 months that I worked him after school. So there was a total of 4 fines. And the first one was a call that I actually heard where a person had called in and called the sheriff's office and said that they thought his house dog had brought back a human bone, specifically had teeth to it. I went out there, or I called the unit that was on scene. I said, does it look real or does it look like an animal? And they stated that it looked real.
Judge, you say?
State?
Your Honor, these are the circumstances of his real-world find. They're relevant to whether or not we meet the predicate involving Bones.
Objection overruled.
I believe I left off. Actually, can you read me where I left off?
You were telling the jury that you were trying to determine whether or not the jaw or mandible, whatever was brought back by someone's dog, was real or not.
Spoke to the deputy. He said it appeared to be real. I drove out there. It was in Tangerine, which is northwest part of Orange County, and recognized it immediately as a section of the human mandible. It still had a few teeth with fillings. I interviewed the person that called this in, the owner of the dog, and asked him where his dog normally plays. It's a rural area in the county, so there's woods everywhere. So I could narrow down my search. He didn't know. He said his dog plays all over the place. I deployed Bones from my vehicle on the main street, which was south of his house, and put his collar on and gave him his command to find human remains. And just casted him out, started walking. The wind was out of the north that day, and I happened to be south of it. He pulled me through the backside of a play area of a church, out through a field, and located the lower torso of a cadaver. It had been disarticulated by animals, pulled apart.
Right. You said there were 4?
Yes.
What's a summary of the details of the second?
The second one, a quick summary of it, the gentleman, I was asked to search a house in the backyard area. Canine Bones alerted into the garage of the house. The forensic unit did a dig and found a deceased man in the garage floor, buried underneath the garage floor. We went approximately 2 streets over, and it was still part of the same exact case, and he alerted in the backyard near the pool and rock garden area, and there was another deceased person there. It was all the same case, same day. There was, that's 3 of them.
Okay.
The 4th one, I was called to a town on the south end of the county in reference to a sexual battery case. I was called, asked the question of, is it possible that Bones could locate,
Overruled.
if he could locate an item that had blood on it.
Had he been trained
Yes, he had been
in
trained.
that fashion? Okay.
Yes. I don't want to get too much into the sexual battery, but I deployed out there where the area where the lady had said she'd been taken, and located a rag that the defendant, the suspect, had wiped off some blood with and discarded, and Bones located that item.
If I may approach the witness with OK for identification.
You may.
This is the report that went with the video that was published.
Yes, it was. 5/29 in 2006.
Your Honor, at this point, I would seek to introduce OK for identification into evidence pursuant to Harris.
What says the defense?
Same objection.
Be overruled. You'll be receiving evidence as
State exhibit number 162.
you may. You may proceed.
Thank you. Deputy 4G, were you called to assist in an investigation regarding the disappearance of Caylee Marie Anthony?
Yes, I was.
When did you first become involved in the investigation?
on that log. I had to look back to my supplement report.
All right, will that assist you in refreshing your recollection as to the exact date and time?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, may Deputy Forgy refresh his recollection with that item?
You may. You may.
Counsel, page 310.
Thank you. 7/17/2008.
Where at?
I responded to main operations at 2500 West Colonial, to be specific, the forensic bays.
All right, you said 7/17.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, at what time did you respond to that location?
At 16:42 hours.
Just before 5 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have to?
15:31, I'm sorry, 15:31 hours.
15:31. Do you have to make any preparations with Garris to prepare for whatever request is to be made of him?
For the search, I use a collar as an indicator and then give him a command.
All right. How is a collar an indicator?
It's an indicator, it's just a change of, like if I was to put a harness on him for tracking, it's a different tool that you use, and it indicates to the dog he's doing a different job. If I was to put a harness on him and hook him up from the center of his back and give him a command for tracking, it's tracking. If I slip a collar over his head and give him his command for looking for human remains, he knows that's what he's doing.
Based on the training that he's had over the years.
Correct.
So when you arrive at the main operations center, are you given any information about the potential pending case?
Nothing except for general information that I recall. I responded to the forensic bay and met with some of the forensics personnel or CSI personnel there, and they took me out to the bay. They said there was a vehicle that they would like me to look at.
Now, you've been involved in working a cadaver dog since 2003.
Correct.
So at that point in 2008, you had 5 years of a lot of different types of experience, but 5 years working with training aids of human origin.
Overruled.
Yes, multiple scenarios. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Would you say that having had exposure to those training aids, that you've had an opportunity yourself to be able to detect the odor of human remains?
Yes, definitely. I can smell it.
Okay. When you get to the operations center, can you smell what you would recognize to be the odor of human remains?
At the facility itself, prior to moving the vehicle out of there, it was pretty strong in the bays. Yes, ma'am.
Do you go into this facility with Garris, or is he somewhere else?
He's in the vehicle waiting.
Why is that?
I went in to find out what exactly they wanted because I was still, I didn't know very much of the particulars on the case. I went in there to meet with the people to find out what they exactly wanted, And that's when I discovered the vehicle was still in the bays. I asked him to move the vehicle outside
Why?
because in the forensic bay, there are other trash cans, biohazard trash cans where the unit that picks up our biohazard trash come and pick up. It's housed in the same warehouse on the other bay, the opposite bay.
So where did you ask that the individuals present move the car?
I asked them to remove the vehicle from the garage, the bays, and put it outside in the parking lot.
How was that to facilitate or improve Garris's search?
To put it in the open air, to remove it from the other biohazards that were in there, which are also, blood and other evidentiary stuff in the bays, to put it in a clean area.
Do you have the car sit for any period of time prior to getting Garris out of your vehicle?
It was a short time. I don't recall the exact time frame when I let it sit, but it was a little while because I went around and moved my vehicle to the backside of the forensic bays to make it closer for me.
Did you search or perform a search of any sort with Garris prior to going to the subject vehicle?
I swept a car, which was on the west side of the subject vehicle, the white Pontiac. Yes.
Okay. Why did you do that?
I'm guessing it was probably because of training. I just swept the car real fast in front of it, and that's what we've always done in training, is there's always multiple vehicles there. I've never run into it in the real world situation. So I just took him out, swept the next car right next to it, and then went right to the subject vehicle.
All right. Were the doors open or closed on the white Pontiac?
The first sweep around it, they were closed.
Was this a white Pontiac Sunfire that you came to learn was the vehicle alleged to belong to Caylee Anthony?
Yes, it was.
So explain to the members of the jury the sweep that you did of the vehicle once it was moved outside.
I swept the blue vehicle to the right and then immediately went over to the vehicle in question, swept it in a counterclockwise manner. So from driver's side, front bumper area, down the driver's side, around the rear of the vehicle, and then back down the passenger side. I had already spoken to one of the forensic techs and told him that if I needed him to ventilate the vehicle to open anything, I would just tell him, and I would be going counterclockwise, so I would want him to start by opening the driver's door. When he opened the driver's door, just barely click it and move on back to the trunk area. And then if I indicated for him to open the trunk, he'd open the trunk, and so forth around the vehicle in a counterclockwise manner. The first pass, he started indicating in the rear of the vehicle. I could tell he was working something, so when I came back around to the driver's side again, when I was crossing the front bumper while still moving, I asked the tech to open the driver's door.
Okay. And what was Garris's response after the driver's door was opened?
When the driver's door was open and we got to that part of the car, he dove into the car in between the driver's seat and the back seat and jumped back in there, looking to the back seat trunk area, trying to get back in that area. Again, like I stated, that I continued to move. So you don't create these false alerts and stuff. I continued to move. He came back out, working the source. I indicated for the tech to open the trunk. We continued down the driver's side to the trunk area. When we turned down the side of the rear of the trunk was open. Garris jumped up into the trunk.
His whole body?
No, front end. Front end, stuck his head in there. And of course, I was overwhelmed at that point because same thing, I'm hitting at the same time he is. I move around, continue to walk. Garris comes out of the trunk with his front paws, comes out of the trunk to the right rear passenger taillight bumper area and gives me a final trained alert. He goes into a down position.
Do you then leave the forensics bay area or the parking lot outside the forensics bay area?
Yes, I loaded the dog back up, and then I left the area.
Were you asked to go to another location that same day or a subsequent date?
Yes,
Okay, same day?
I believe it was the next day, I'm not sure, the Hope Spring address.
What request was made of you at the Hope Spring residence?
They asked me to come out and if I could do a sweep of the backyard. That they had a concern in a couple areas in the backyard and low area that the father was not familiar with.
Yes, sorry, Judge.
Strike which portion, Mr. Bass? Strike which portion? Strike which portion? Father was not familiar with the area? Sustain. That portion would be stricken and jury is asked to disregard that portion of the statement.
Yes, sir. You were asked to go to the Hope Spring residence to check out some areas that the crime scene techs wanted you to look at,
The detectives, yes, ma'am.
the detectives.
Some areas of concern within the backyard.
All right. So you went there with Garris.
Yes.
Okay. Did you do any sort of investigation in the backyard prior to deploying Garris in that search area?
The detectives, yes, I wanted to look at it. The detectives had a particular area that they wanted to look at because they had been informed that
Okay.
it was,
Without giving us the hearsay information, there were areas in the backyard they wanted you to search.
of concern, yes.
Okay. So in order to facilitate that, you came with Garris.
I went and retrieved Garris from the patrol vehicle and conducted a search of the yard.
Okay. How was that search conducted?
Off lead,
Okay. Was everyone removed from the backyard?
the majority of them, I believe it was Corporal Carden, which was my canine supervisor, was with me. And I don't recall whether one of the detectives stayed back there or not, but I don't believe they did.
Okay. So what commands do you give Garris regarding the search of the backyard at Hope Spring?
His command to find human remains were find Fred. His indicator is his collar. I put his collar on him and give him his command, find Fred, and he goes to work.
Okay. And you said he's off lead.
Off
So you're not having him sweep in any particular direction?
No, because it's a fenced-in yard and it was a controlled area, I kicked him off lead to allow him a free search. And then I could bring him back and direct him to check particular areas of concern. I entered the yard from the northwest corner and started in a eastern directions where I kicked him off lead and let him search the area. We went past a couple sheds.
Okay, let me ask you, is that the gate by the garage?
Yes, on the north side, yes.
Okay. You said you went past some sheds?
There's a couple like Tupperware container sheds. And went past that, then there was an above ground swimming pool continuing to the east from the west side. And then you would turn and there was a area of concern right there at the northeast corner. That was the indentation in the backyard that they had an area of concern they wanted me to check particularly.
All right. The detectives had a concern about that.
Detectives. Correct.
Did Garris give an alert in that area of concern?
No, he did not.
Okay. Did he continue on?
He continued to work. He went through, I believe, initially, around the pool, he searched the whole area. The only areas that he gave me any indications and gave me any alerts and a final trained alert was in the southeast corner of the yard, which is near the play area. And there was like a playhouse, a kid's bench, sand, play box area. But it's the southeast corner of the yard.
Your Honor, may I publish 43 in evidence at this time so that the testimony can be further explained?
States Exhibit 43, you may publish.
Right. First of all, Deputy 4G, can you see 43?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is this the area that you were describing where you got the alert?
Yes, ma'am.
Trained final alert?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I was making sure the witness saw it first. Okay. All right. Can you tell the members of the jury where the trained final alert occurred? You can tell us straight by touching.
Within that circle, in that area. The kids' playhouse and the kids' little sandboxes behind the little bench area or the picnic table. But that's where his final trained alert is.
Do you remove Garris from the backyard at that time?
Yes, I do.
Do you make a suggestion to the detectives there that another cadaver dog come and check the area?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Would that be Bones?
That would be Bones.
What information, if any, do you impart to Bones' handler when she arrives?
Generally, I just give them the general information. Here's the area of concern. Here's where I would like you to do a search. Here's what I've done in that area, aside from what my dog has done. Because I don't want to, like I said, we take great means to prevent false alerts or prevent these things. This is another one of those things. You don't tell them what your dog did. So it wouldn't preempt any of these things. You just say, here's a backyard. I would like you to search it and see if you get any alerts or indications. I've probed these areas, stuck holes in the ground, and no one's been back there for this time frame. Just general information that I give them.
Did Bones arrive?
Bones did arrive.
How long after you conducted the search with Garris did Bones arrive?
I don't recall. It was a little bit because she was coming from Osceola County.
Okay. Were you present during any search that Bones did?
Yes, I was.
You didn't run the search with Bones, someone else did, correct?
Correct. He had been with the other handler for a few years at that point.
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
You may.
Excuse me.
No other questions of the witness at this point.
Okay. Cross-examination. Ms. Burdick, I believe that you wanted to give it a document back?
Yes. Sorry.
May it please the court.
You may proceed.
Mr. Verdict. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, Deputy Forgy.
Good afternoon.
You were in that backyard, were you not?
Yes, I was.
It's not a very big backyard.
The lot line's not very large.
I'm sorry?
The lot line, I would say, is not very large, but that's up to personal perception.
Understood. Well, I hate to compare it to this courtroom, but it's, there's less grass area than this courtroom, wouldn't you say?
Then the square footage of this, yes, it would be,
Given the pool,
yes,
given the playhouse,
yes.
given the lanai that's out there,
The lanai, the patio area?
the patio area.
Yes, sir.
Sorry. This playhouse area where you marked the area that your dog showed interest was approximately right around here?
The final trained alert?
Yes.
I don't have the photo.
Oh, I'm sorry, Judge.
You want the jury to see this back?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And that's states numbered
43.
43.
I'm sorry, let me clear out what I did, and you could show us again if you could. I apologize. Can you show the jury again where? And this area over here in this direction would be a small walkway towards the shed, would it not?
There's another shed on the south side of the house.
Okay. Now, you testified that your dog has some training on residual odor, right?
He's been trained with residual odor, yes, sir.
And you gave, I believe, 3 examples of that?
I believe 2 examples.
2 examples. One was after 10 hours,
One was after 10 hours, yes, sir.
and what was the other one after how many hours?
10 days.
10 days.
So 24 times 10, 240.
You certainly have never had a situation where you've had to either train on or have a real world example prior to this case of 30 days. Is that correct?
A real world find after 30 days?
Find or training on residual odor after 30 days.
Fines, yes, I have real world fines older than 30 days.
That's not my question, sir. On residual odor.
Trying to understand your question.
All right, let me start from the beginning, so maybe I might be losing the jury too.
Yes.
Okay. Residual odor, when we talk about that, we're talking about possibly something at one time being somewhere and it's no longer there.
Correct.
Okay. And that could be either decomp fluid that's still there,
Correct.
or it could be the scent that might still be there,
Correct.
or it could not be there at all. Could be a false alert.
What would be the question there?
Michael,
Before I agree to
is
it.
that correct? Well, is that correct? I mean, when you run into a situation where you're trying to either train or you're deploying your dog and nothing is there that you can see, it
Okay.
could be either decomp fluid that's there. Is that a yes?
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It could be decomp fluid.
No problem. The odor that's still there,
The smell itself, yes.
or it could be nothing there, which means it's a false alert.
It could be nothing there.
Right. There are such things as false alerts, right?
Yes.
Okay. The dogs are not infallible.
They are not perfect, no.
Okay.
Like humans.
And so it's one of those 3 things, correct?
Correct.
And unless you find something that indicates that a human body was there, you don't know which of the three it could be.
Unless I visually know it or a doctor finds something there.
Correct.
That's correct. Is it possible? Yes.
Like if you had DNA and you got DNA and you saw, okay, this person was there, that would be a confirmation that it wasn't a false alert, right?
Right, but there's also the possibility of having human remains with no DNA, bleached bones, stuff like that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, bones and things like that. I'm
Correct.
not just using DNA.
Okay.
Other findings. Now, the 2 trainings that you had were over a course of how many years with this dog?
The 2 that we referred to? One was September 2005, and one was July of 2007.
And
With
this
this
is
dog.
over a course of 5 years approximately?
I believe he worked over 6 years.
Okay. And those were the only 2 indications or only 2 training sessions that you had on residual odor?
That I recall, yes, sir.
Okay. And when you went to first see the car, you were informed that the Pontiac Sunfire was the suspect's vehicle.
It was, I believe what he said was it was the vehicle in question.
That would be the person who's either under arrest or the car's confiscated, right?
Later knowing, I don't think she was under arrest at that point, but person of interest, suspects.
Okay. Now, when you brought out the car from the garage, you brought it out because there was trash in the forensic bay area, right?
I don't know if I would classify it as trash. There was other items in the forensic bay.
Now, you don't work there, do you?
I don't work at forensics, no. I work at the sheriff's office.
In fact, you're not very familiar with the goings-ons in the forensic bay, are you?
You'd have to clarify that.
You're not too familiar with the forensic bay garage, are you?
In general, I have a little knowledge there, but do I work there in forensics? No, I do not.
Okay, so you don't know what trash was there, and that's why you asked to bring it out.
Correct.
So when you brought it out, you say, based on your training, you did a vehicle lineup.
Yeah, I swept another vehicle next to it. Yes, sir.
Okay. So you had one car who you knew had nothing to do with this case, and you had the car that you knew had to do with this case.
Vehicle in question. Didn't know about the case.
But you knew it was the vehicle in question. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, you testified that you quickly went through the first vehicle?
I testified that I swept the first vehicle.
Now, I saw that you had a video of one of your fines. Did you videotape this fine?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you not have a video camera available?
I'm sure there was one available.
But being as that you knew which car there was, you didn't think it would be advantageous to the jury or anyone to see if there were any cues that you were giving off to the dog?
If we could have predicted where we are today, it would have been videotaped. But it's not a common practice thing to videotape your real searches. Not at all.
You're familiar with this book, are you not, sir?
Yes, sir.
And this is your handbook.
It's not my handbook, no,
It's
sir.
the one that you're familiar with and you find authoritative, do you not?
Yes, but big difference between my handbook.
All right, I understand. In fact, this is written by Andy Rebman,
Yes, sir.
the person who you trained under at the school in Sarasota.
In '05 and '06.
Yes. And are you familiar with the section that recommends that you videotape the lineups?
It's a recommendation that he offers, yes, sir.
And you're familiar with the portion that says this videotape, that the court may allow the videotape to be shown in court for the jury.
Correct.
And that is really more of authoritative than, well, I'll strike that. I don't want to be argumentative, but let me ask you this. You had a situation where you knew there was no body in that car, correct?
I believe it was just a vehicle in question is what I was told.
Forensics wouldn't have had you come out if they had a body in the car.
Or they had removed the body from the car. I have done those sweeps before where a body has been removed from a trunk and done a sweep.
Right, but my point is, you knew there was no body in the car.
At that time, correct.
So whatever you did would be scrutinized later, at a later time, would it not?
It's possible.
And despite all of that, of course, you chose not to videotape the scent lineup.
I don't have anything in my regulations, my policies, or procedures that refer that I have to do these things.
Now,
So I did not do that.
what you submitted in this case were training logs, right?
Correct.
And these training logs are training that you do.
That I do?
Yes, you train your dog.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you train your dog a couple times a month.
Correct.
And when you train your dog, it's just you and the dog, other than the times that you're being observed.
Sometimes there's other people there, yes. And then he's evaluated quarterly, like I referred to.
So a couple times a year, someone else is present when you're training your dog.
It's possible.
And all of those logs, it's really just an indication of your work.
It's an indication of the dog and my work as a team.
Right, you guys are a team, so it's an indication of your work, right? Dog
Yes.
doesn't get a paycheck, doesn't reap any benefits from this. It's an indication of your work, is it not?
It's an indication of our work as a team.
And you put in, when you train your dog, it is not blind testing, is it not?
If I'm training my dog, it is not blind testing, correct?
And for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what blind testing means is that you know where the target is of the search.
I know where it is, yes, sir. If I lay it out, but there are also unknown finds.
Understood. And the times that you evaluate with your evaluated, unless it's indicated, those are also not blind testing, are they?
Unless it's indicated on the log, if it's an unknown find.
Right.
That's correct. His real world finds would be unknown finds to everybody.
Now, part of what the dog gets as a reward is your praise.
Handler praise, yes,
And the dog wants to please you.
absolutely.
And that is its motivation when it finds something. Part of the motivation.
Part
because
of the
you can tell.
motivation, yes. You know, it's part of their drive.
Now, going back to the search of the home, you were called after your alert or your dog full train alert in the backyard. CSI was called out there.
Sergeant Brewer was called first, and then the forensic CSI were called, yes.
And they then began to dig and search for remains in the backyard.
Like I've said before multiple times, it's not, I don't think they dug. I don't know for sure. I know what it appeared to be is what they scraped the surface, but I wasn't present.
They went looking,
Absolutely.
and they didn't find anything.
No, they did not.
And then they called you out the next day to come out.
Yes, sir.
And the next day you came out,
Yes, sir.
and tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what happened.
The next day after they had done what they were doing, scraping the surface and moving the area. I did not get any alerts.
Okay. Now, you issued a police report when you searched the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
And that's the one that Ms. Rain-Burdick had shown you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you searched the backyard and you didn't, and on one day you had an alert and the next day you didn't do a report on that.
That's correct.
And in your logs, all of your logs, you have no reports of in '06, the 5 calls that you had where there was no alert.
That there's not a training log, is that what you're referring to?
No, you have no police reports. I'm not talking about training. I'm talking about, as you like to call, real-world deployments.
In '06?
Yes,
I had 6 searches, not 4.
right. And you don't have no police reports for those searches, correct?
I do have a report, yes, sir.
For the find, for the
For
one.
the find, yes, sir.
But for the others, you do not.
No.
And in '07, the 9 calls that you had, you have no police reports for those.
Correct. No reports on the 9 searches with no alerts. Correct.
Then in '08, you had 3 alerts.
Yes.
2, I presume, are from this case, correct?
Correct. Your client's car.
But you
and
have
the
no
backyard.
other, for the other 70, I'm sorry, that would be 68 calls, you have no police reports for those.
That's correct.
You have no idea whether evidence was later found at those locations where your dog missed, or your dog did not alert, correct?
On which one? On your client's car?
No, on all of the other searches that we're talking about.
Specifically, I documented 2 of those because of the shallow graves that I did. The one I testified to earlier was 7/23 of 2008. I have the location. It was a tip that we got in this case. It looked like a shallow grave. I went and did the search, got no alert. Forensics dug it because of this case and found animal remains. And then the second one was 8/11 of 2008, and I have the location and everything. And same thing, forensics dug that and found animal remains. And no alerts, no false alerts, no alerts.
Deputy Forgy, you were eventually in December of '08 deployed to Suburban Drive where Caylee Marie Anthony's remains were found.
Correct.
And when you went out there, you knew that a body had been there.
Yes.
And in fact, you were called out there because, of course, there were still some missing bones.
There was, yes, a couple of small bones were still missing from her.
And your dog did not find any remains or bones there.
I did not recover the missing remains, no.
And as a matter of fact, sir, your dog did not give any alerts at all on Suburban Drive where you knew Caylee's remains were at.
I don't know if it's a matter of fact. You asked me before, and he was alerting and trying to get to where I already knew the target was because I asked him specifically. I wouldn't allow him to get to that because I'm looking for other items, just like in real-world training. Like I testified before, we went out and a body had been removed. If you know it's here and I'm looking for other missing items and missing bones, why would I want him to go there and alert? So I want to remove him from there. Was he alerting and trying to get there? Yes. Was I trying to keep him from that? Yes. Was I making him move and search because we figured it was pulled away, disarticulated by animals, which is common, and they'll obviously remove little bones away. So I wanted to search away from that area.
Do you recall giving a deposition in this case on November 29th, 2010, sir?
Yes, I do.
And do you remember that you were placed under oath?
Yes, I do.
And do you remember that I was present?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Drain Burdick was present?
Yes, sir.
And other representatives from the state attorney's office?
Yes, and Mr. Mason.
Do you recall being asked a question? I'm sorry, page 81, lines 23.
What was it?
Lines 23 through 25, and page 82, line 1. Do you recall being asked a question? He didn't give any alerts at all. And your response being, no, sir. Well, yes, he showed some interest. He showed interest, change of behavior, blah, blah, blah. He did give me his final. Did he give me his final alert? No, sir. Do you recall making that statement, sir?
Yes, I do. And that's what I was just referring to and testifying to. Was he alerting? Yes. Did
I
he
don't
give
have
me
a pending
trial?
question, sir.
Your Honor,
Hold on.
object him not being allowed to finish in response.
The witness shall be permitted to finish his answer. You may finish your answer, sir.
Thank you, sir. What I was saying is, I testified and at the deposition that the dog was alerting to it, but he didn't give me a final trained alert. Like I explained earlier, he's trying to get to source. I didn't want him to get to source. So he wasn't going to give me a final trained alert over there because I didn't want him to get to there. We were looking for items that they hadn't found. I believe they're really small bones. I don't remember exactly if it was a toe or a finger or what it was, but they knew what they were missing. So I didn't want him to get there. So is that what I was referring to? Absolutely. He didn't give me a final trained alert because I wouldn't allow him to do that. I kept moving him.
You were called out there to find human remains, were you not, sir?
The couple of missing bones, couple pieces, the missing bones.
You were called out there to find human remains.
Sustain.
Would you consider that human remains? Bones?
Yes,
You didn't find any human remains.
they had been recovered. I didn't find any, no, sir.
Neither did your dog.
No, sir.
And your dog did not give a final train alert anywhere on Suburban Drive.
Correct. I would not allow him to give me a final trained alert or go to where the body was recovered.
You wouldn't allow him to help you find human remains.
I wouldn't allow him to go to where the body was recovered. They had how many forensic people at that source filtering it? I knew if they had gone through it as well as they had done this whole area, that it wasn't there. They had already sifted that area. He was going there because of the odor. I didn't want him, I wanted them to find what had been removed so we could have a complete body.
And he didn't find
He did
whatever
not
items
find
were
the-
removed.
The 2, 3, 4 missing bones. No, sir.
Sir, you don't know exactly how many missing bones there were.
No, sir. I remember it was a very minute number.
And you don't find yourself qualified to testify to that fact, do you, sir?
They told me that there was a couple bones missing.
You don't, my question to you is, you don't know exactly how many there were.
Could I tell you if there was 10 or 3? No, but they told me there was a very small number.
But that's certainly something you chose to volunteer.
I'm sorry?
That's certainly something you chose to volunteer.
Because I believe it was.
I have no further questions.
Redirect?
Actually, one moment, Judge.
Okay.
No further questions.
Redirect?
Deputy Forgy, regardless of the case, you're constantly aware of the fact that your work in any matter can be scrutinized in court or by your supervisors or by members of the public, correct?
Every day. Yes, ma'am.
How many real world, since we've been using that term, canine calls have you gone on in your career with all of the dogs that you've trained and worked with?
Real world searches, over 200 of them.
Okay, not just cadaver, anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. And calls in general, well over 3,000 now.
Right. And how many of those have been videotaped?
Very few. In real world scenario, very few.
All right.
If the helicopter was present, it was taped.
And as far as Garris's finding that body in the water, the only reason it was taped was because the helicopter was assisting in that endeavor as well.
That's correct. It was a fluke. He was already leaving for the second time. He was done. And I asked him to stay because of the alligator. And that was the only reason it was taped.
All right. When you went back to the residence on Hope Spring the next day after the crime scene investigators had been scraping the soil, and you testified on cross that there was no alert, based on your training and experience, why do you believe that to be the case?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Calls for speculation.
Overruled.
I believe it was surface. Whatever the dog was alerting on was on the surface. And with them scraping the area and disturbing it, it was moved or diminished. Where the dog wouldn't find it, it was gone at that point. But if something was on the surface that they had scraped, I clearly believe that's exactly what happened. That's why we didn't get anything the next day.
In your training, you've trained the canines on decomp fluid that had absorbed into the ground?
Yes.
In those scenarios where you have testified that there were calls that you took Garris to where he did not alert, if you were to write a police report in those situations, what would it say?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, it would say anything because I had nothing.
Responded to a location, no alert.
Correct.
Will your dog alert to trash?
No. We've trained around that. No.
Velveeta cheese?
No.
A package that once held chicken?
No.
Was your concern in the forensic bay for any sort of garbage that may have been disposed of from someone's lunch, or was your concern something else?
It wasn't the lunch. I was concerned because when I know from my experience, when I get rid of a training aid, biohazard aid, the red box that we take that to go to the incinerator is in the next bay. So other biohazard would be there. Whether the trash can was full that day, I don't know because I didn't inspect it. It'd be a bad scenario to run. He needs to be removed from that.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Recross as to those issues.
Deputy Forgy, Ms. Drain Burdick asked you about your belief as to why the dog didn't alert in the backyard
The second day.
the second day.
Yes, sir.
Other than, well, I don't believe a dead body in the backyard is a disputed issue in this case, but let me ask you this. Are you
Just a second.
trying to explain the question?
I'm going to
No.
object to the commentary by counsel as to what is and what isn't in dispute.
Sustain. Rephrase your question.
Yes, sir. Other than that, I guess the easiest way to ask you this is, you really don't know, do you, sir?
What?
You don't know whether Caylee's dead body was in the backyard, or whether this is a false alert, or whether as you explained to the jury, when digging up, it lost the scent. You don't know any of those three.
Right. I couldn't tell you why. I can tell you from experience, I haven't had a problem with it. I can tell you I had a final trained alert in that exact spot the day before. After they moved whatever was on the surface, I did not get an alert at all.
But out of those three scenarios, you're really just speculating.
Out of what three scenarios? You just
Since you
asked
don't
me
know
2 days.
which of the three scenarios, whether it was Caylee's remains or Caylee's body that was in the backyard, or whether the crime scene investigators had, I guess, scraped up any scent, or whether it was a false alert. You just don't know any of the three.
That's correct. I don't know. I got an alert the first day and did not get one the second day.
And this speculation is part of your testimony today.
Speculation. I testified that my dog alerted the one day, and then they scraped the area, and then the dog did not alert the next day.
My question is, since you don't know one of the three, you're speculating. You don't know which one of the three it is. So that's part of your testimony, is it not, sir?
Overruled.
It's an unknown factor to me. Yes, that's correct. It's unknown.
And when trying to interpret what a dog is doing or saying, speculation, is it not?
Speculation on my training experience with the dog, absolutely it is. That's part of my job.
And that would include for all searches where there are no remains found.
If there was an alert, is what you're asking me.
Correct, yes.
In every single time he's had an alert besides this case, I've had a find.
Okay, well, we're talking about this case. Let's talk about this case. In a situation where you have the search and you don't have remains, and you don't have evidence of remains, you're just speculating as to which of those scenarios it could be.
At what had taken place in the backyard. Correct, I didn't know.
And in the car as well.
I believe the doctors already testified.
You don't know what happened in the car, do
I
you?
believe the doctors testified to that.
You can't testify as to what other people testified. I'm asking you about you. You
No.
don't know.
I didn't see to it, no. I didn't see anything in the trunk. I smelt it, clear as day.
My question to you, sir, is you don't know, do you?
I know what I smelt in the car, because you're jumping from the car to the backyard to the car. If you're asking me what I
let me
smelt
make
in the
myself clear
car,
then. Yes, sir.
Let him finish answering the
Let
question.
me make myself clear. As it relates to your dog alerting in that area, when you don't have any remains found, you are speculating that remains were there, or it's one of the three examples that you've already testified to.
Sustained compound question.
Yes, sir. Well, as it relates to your searches where there are no remains found, it could be either there are no remains, there were never any remains there, there is residual, or there's residual odor, correct?
to clarify the backyard, that is correct. For the car, to clarify, clear as day, I smelt it.
You haven't been called out to go and smell things without your dog, have you?
No, I've been present with my dog. I've also, prior to being a canine handler, I worked the road and worked many of deceased people calls, dead unattended. So that would be without my dog.
They've never asked you to come out instead of the dog.
Oh, no, they have not. No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
May the deputy be excused?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, deputy. You may be excused, sir.